Hello and welcome to another episode of CBD Genie. My name is Matt.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today we have another interview with a CBD expert stroke manufacturer. Today
It's Elliot from Cannabrew. And actually we have done a taste test video, so you can check that one out on our channel. But right now,
let's talk to Elliot. Hi, so Elliot from Cannabrew. Fantastic that you're here. How are you?
Yeah, good. Really good, thank you. And thank you very much for having me on.
No, it's great. We'd love to learn a bit more about Cannabrew and how it all... Do you want to sort of, I don't know, start the ball rolling, if you like, and give us a rundown as to how it all started for you?
Yeah, of course. The journey to actually launching was a bit of a weird one, but it effectively came... I was a stonemason for a few years. I got a job placement through my rugby club, and I worked around Cumbria, and the thing with like lifting big stones is you trap your hands constantly. So I got really sick of trapping my hands in the winter and being rained on, and so I was sort of looking for a new path, and really fortunate enough that an opportunity came up in the brewery. Sort of we've had breweries in the family in the past as well, so I've always sort of grown up in this industry. But yeah, I got a job in a brewery, sort of started my way from a delivery guy, got moved around a lot in the team, and yeah, sort of got pushed around the whole thing, and really fell in love with the industry. So saved up, I went to a craft brewing school in Sunderland, and yeah, so did a bit of a course on actually the science, the breakdown, actually how you brew beer to a consistent level, and that tastes nice, which is quite important. Yeah. And yeah, just really fell in love with it. So at the same time, I've been fortunate enough to play at a reasonable standard of rugby, and sort of part of the parcel with playing rugby, your body sort of breaks a lot, and I was injured at this point, and the club got a CBD rep to come in, and they were selling little gummies. However, the rep was explaining all about the anti-inflammatory sort of properties of CBD and how it can help with recovery, and it was just something that I was fascinated by. So with this sort of new fascination, and I was sort of learning to brew at the same time, part of the course was sort of analysing trends over in the States, and we typically analyse trends in the US, and then they come over here and sort of hit London, and then they shoot up north, like most things. But I started seeing loads of CBD breweries popping up, and it was a niche, and sort of that was it. There wasn't like this big eureka moment. I just put two and two together, a passion for craft beer, and sort of my newfound fascination in CBD.
So were you already producing the craft beer without CBD, and then added, or did the whole thing sort of come together?
Yeah,
you launched as a CBD beer company.
We launched as a CBD beer company. Yeah, we with very little funding. Yeah, and that's sort of how we launched. Yeah, we launched with the one product. So we launched our flagship, which is our Sesh IPA. Again, no real thought went into this, but it was my favourite beer style, so it's what I brewed first. And we launched. I think we had 30 cases of beer to launch with. I had a little shipping container in a dingy yard just outside of Lancaster, and the famous Cannabrew van 1.0 or Canavan was my Vauxhall Corsa with the seats stripped out, which I used to fill and drive around trying to flog it.
So what time was this? What sort of year is this?
This is September 2019, so not too long ago.
Okay. Right, just before COVID.
Just before COVID.
Yeah. So when your first customers, I mean, you're combining CBD with beer, and in 2019, as we all know, I mean, even today, this is still a novel factor for a lot of people. What sort of customer base were you looking at for buying beer with the CBD in it? Yeah,
so again, I'd like to say that I had a really set plan on this, but I honestly didn't. I was filling the car Canavan 1.0 with beer. And I knew that we had to hit sort of edgy areas. We were a bit of a unique product, certainly at the time, with CBD not being as popular as it is now. So I'd go to like quite cool areas, so like Shoreditch, Northern Quarter in Manchester, and I would literally just go into places that I thought looked cool, ask to speak to the manager and start pitching, and that is how we started. Yeah.
Wow. Real bootstrap style, isn't it? You know, I think that's and no, it's fascinating, isn't it? But I think, you know, the whole CBD industry had, you know, a lot of it started as very cottage industry type of thing, isn't it? It was everybody was just making a bit, talking to people, selling a bit, you know,
figuring it out as we went.
Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about what does the product line look like now then?
Yeah, of course. So now we've still got our flagship, which we started with of Sesh IPA. It's a 4.5% West Coast IPA, so it's brewed with Simcoe Citra hops. So you get really nice fruity characters coming through. It just one of those beers that you can just knock 6 or 7 back, and you don't get like tired of it. So following that, we launched Soul Lager, which is sort of a hybrid style between a Czech Pilsner and a Craft American. So we've gone for a Craft American malt base, so super clean, super easy drinking. And then we've slammed it full of Saaz hops, which is the Czech lager hop. So you get that like really premium sort of taste to it. Then we've got our Cloud Cider, which we've partnered with this amazing cider company down in Somerset with. And that's made with a single apple variety rather than like a blend of apples, so you can really taste like the crispness of that apple. Then we've also got a West Coast non-alcoholic IPA called Hops and Sunshine, and that is still we only officially launched, so we did all our sort of testing and sold it to trade locally to see how it went. But the official launch was last year, and that has by far like taken over everything else.
Amazing, isn't it?
We ought to, there's sort of full disclosure here. We have tasted everything that you have just listed, and the video is on YouTube, isn't it? Now? It's up there.
Yeah, so we'll add a link below that so people can go and check that out. Actually, probably we should have had you talk us through the beers actually as we were drinking them, because I mean, you know, us two trying to communicate the flavors of the beer are probably not the best way to experience it.
No, don't worry. I think it's great actually. There's two sides that you can go from, like an in-depth knowledge to describing beer, which is always like interesting to listen to. But what actually is important is people that don't know that much about beer describing it, because ultimately they're who's buying it. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, I can vouch that we liked all of them. My wife, not on camera, tried one of the cans of the cider, and she normally goes for a dry cider. And your cider is not dry. I wouldn't call it sweet, but
no, it's definitely not sweet.
I didn't think she was going to like it, and well, she loved it straight out.
Oh,
I mean,
great news.
There is a sweetness there, but it's not an overpowering sweetness.
Definitely, yeah.
So she was very happy with that.
Well, that's
very interesting what you're saying about the lager as well, because I think we both commented that actually it wasn't one of those over gassy lagers. It has got a real smoothness to it.
Yeah.
And actually made it a really easy drink.
Oh, good.
I think we both, at the end of it, thought the Sesh IPA was
the best.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do love that one. The cider. Oh, go on, mate. Sorry.
No. I was going. So you carry on.
Yeah, the cider's quite really interesting one. So with CBD itself, it's quite a bitter property to it if you taste like pure CBD, and it sort of sticks to your mouth. But so when we're brewing, we have to take that into consideration. So with the cider, we actually made it on the slightly sweeter side. So then when we add the bitterness, or the CBD, which adds bitterness, it sort of balances it out a little bit. So you do get that sort of mid-level.
I did wonder that.
Right. Yeah, because so because the CBD you've gone for it is not like the isolate and the tasteless like whatever. You've actually used a CBD that actually has the natural characteristics and flavour of CBD.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of a great fit for us. So the hemp plant, or the marijuana plant, is actually a distant cousin of the hop plant, which we use to flavour beer. So in terms of its actual properties, it's sort of got the same like oily, resinous sort of texture to it, and then So when you're making beers, it's a little different for cider, but with beers, the whole way that we build like a recipe sheet, you work on IBUs that you get out of hops, which is just a bitterness level. So you can calculate what flavor profiles you're getting from these bitterness levels. So we've just slightly lowered the bitterness level in the beers to account for the bitterness levels we put in through the CBD, and it just blends like right in. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and it's great you've actually been able to sort of, embrace that. Because, I mean, previously we'd looked at, Rebel Wine.
Yeah.
And obviously they've had to, need to go for something that, it isn't necessarily a natural fit for the product. And you actually still want a really good quality wine flavor to come through. But whereas actually you can really incorporate it and mold it together as a single thing. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah, it works well for me. Oh, sorry, mate.
The question I have is just in the lineup is that I'm curious. You've got you've got the sesh, you've got the lager, you've got low alcohol at 0.5%. Now we understand, obviously, with the FSA list, you can't make any change to that now, and you can't introduce another product yet. But why the 0.5%? Why not go 0% with it?
Okay, so it's all down to kit. So if you go for a 0% lager, you need to get, a 0% anything. You need to get like really good kit to actually strip it out, and that can cost like hundreds of thousands of pounds, which we just don't have the budget for. But aside from that, I actually think that it tastes better. So with beers to non-alc beers, alcohol is obviously a big part of it, and the mouthfeel is so important when you're actually trying any sort of product. So when you're losing alcohol, or with some alcohol-free beers that are brewed to full strength and then just stripped back, it almost feels like you're drinking a watery product, and that just is because the actual weight in your mouth is less, so it feels lighter. But with with ours at 0.5, what we can do is we can brew a beer in the sort of traditional way, and then what we do is we call it cold crashing. So we do add yeast, so it's exactly the same process. We let it ferment to a tiny amount, and then we cold crash it, which just kills all the yeast off to stop any more fermenting. But it means you've still got a beer in its sort of like purest form in a sense. So you still get all the mouthfeel. It still feels like you're drinking sort of a great product. You still get some of the flavors from the yeast that adds in. So yeah.
Do you envisage a future where you've got a CBD completely non-alcoholic beer, or not?
Completely non-alc. I'm not too sure on. So the difference between 0 and 0.5 it's so insignificant. I mean, if you drink orange juice, for example, it'll be somewhere between 0 and 0.5. It's because there's so many fermentable sugars in there. Even a banana, if you eat a banana, it's somewhere between that level. So it's not a level where it actually matters at all.
Right.
But yeah, personally, and on actual quality of product, I think it's really important that you make whatever we do in whatever direction we go, product quality is always going to be priority. And in this instance, having 0.5 sort of improves that.
So can I ask you, because one of those questions, and I think, we had a similar thing about the wine, this idea of taking something, an alcoholic drink, and putting CBD in it. Are these things seen to be, or do people say, are they slightly at odds with each other, or do you see them as actually completely complementary? How do you answer the questions when people are asking about that stuff?
Yeah, it's a really valid question that people ask, actually, and I do understand the logic behind it, but no, I see it as completely separate separate things. And a good way of looking at this is like people will drink alcohol. There's no way of getting around that. Although the low and no market is improving, in our culture, people love booze. So the CBD aspect is actually just an added element. So we can still offer those people like an added way of unwinding and all the other benefits that come with CBD. So not at all. And particularly with sort of experience-led things that we do. So for festivals, events, like comedy shows, we do really well in those sectors because our products are all about helping people unwind, and that in turn allows them to sort of settle into the environment and take it in a little bit more, or forget about that busy work noise that goes on in all of our heads. And so in that sense, I think it's massively complementary.
Right. So yeah, as a real enhancement.
Can I just ask a question that we probably should have asked earlier? Just for the sort of for the record, so to speak, are you using a broad spectrum or full spectrum CBD in the beer?
Yeah, a broad spectrum.
It's broad spectrum. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we wanted to ask really was about the branding. The artwork and branding is fantastic. How did that come about?
Thank you. Yeah. So the actual logo itself, I'd love to say that I came up with this idea, but I just didn't. So we there's a designer in Lancaster called Robin Zala, and it's just incredible. So I came to him with this idea. I said, look, this is where we're at. We've not got a product yet. We need something that looks cool. I even wanted to call the brand CBD, but thank God we didn't. He came up with the idea of Cannabrew, and I'm so grateful that he has, and he was worth absolutely every penny. But then, in terms of the actual cans, this is sort of something I've led on. We had an artist down in Somerset reach out to me about 2 years ago, just before we actually rolled out Cloud Cider commercially. And he said, look, he loves what we do, he loves the products, and if he could ever collaborate on any designs, then he'd happily do so. So I said, yeah, and he designed the original label for Cloud Cider, which was like this beautiful piece of Mother Nature with apples sort of coming out in like a William Morris sort of style around. And then I was just really going to town on the branding, and I'm not sure if it's my personality or if I was right to do this, but I just got bored of it. So we wanted to update the branding and go for a really slick, cool, striking still on the shelves or in the fridges sort of look. So we went for a really clean aspect to it, but with these really cool emblems or heads that sort of show, and a lot of them, the basis of it is it's a head with sort of all these different aspects coming out of it to sort of show the unwinding sort of. And we use Cam Brooks for all of that, the artist. And yeah, he's currently traveling around America in an RV. And I just WhatsApp him with a bit of a brief, and he's got all of his art stuff, and he just does it from wherever he is, which I just absolutely love.
Okay, so we probably ought to loop this back to the CBD question as to you've put 15 milligrams of CBD per can?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, another question I have, which we didn't ask actually when we were tasting it, is to why 15 milligrams? Why is there a sort of an optimum level there for flavour or some effect on the beer? Or
so originally we were at 10, which was mainly down to how expensive CBD was. We wanted to go higher, but we just simply couldn't afford to, and it wouldn't have made sense in a value chain perspective. The end consumer would have been paying ridiculous amounts for just a can of beer. So we stuck with 10 originally, and then as we've grown, our sort of buying power for bulk ordering CBD has increased. So we've got the CBD cost down. So we've slightly increased by 50% increased the CBD concentration per can. And yeah, in terms of actually why 15 as the whole number, it translates really well to when we keg our product. So when the 330 can, if we're same batch of beer, same concentration, it then translates to 25 milligrams for a pint, which is just a really nice whole number, and so is 15 for the can. So it was a really good level, and it's a good rate that most people should feel or notice the effects from it.
Yeah. Do you think further down the road, when you've got the freedom to be able to alter these things a little more or introduce more products, do you think you might be offering beer at different CBD strengths?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the projects we're working on at the moment is expanding into the US, and I actually fly over a week on Friday to New York to sort of get all the legislation and whatnot settled for that expansion. But with that, we are planning on launching different size ranges there.
Right.
A little bit more ahead than we are, I'd say, in terms of regulation. So we have that opportunity to sort of play around.
I guess that's it, isn't it? Is that whilst your probably hands are tied in the UK, looking at different markets where there's different regulatory environments, you have got the opportunity to effectively launch new products there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's opportunity everywhere, and it's just sort of about sort of stepping back and seeing it rather than being so like
So,
this is where we're based. So
yeah, no, I got a question about the because obviously you said the no alcohol, very low alcohol one was your sort of leader, if you like, in terms of sales. Got any sense as is that because of that sort of growing market, or people just wanting, or maybe is it people who are looking at the lower alcohol are more open to probably spending a little bit more or having a little bit more to the drink? What do you think?
yeah, I mean, I think all of those that you just mentioned do definitely influence it. However, I think the main point is the one is the product quality. Like for a low alc beer, it really is quite nice. And there are some amazing breweries out there making amazing products as well. So not to slight any of theirs, but the second point and a real big one is the non-alc drinkers. You're often a little bit left out if you're in a group of people drinking, whereas our product now offers like a way of unwinding, or we effectively fit into that functional beverage space. So instead of just sitting there drinking like a non-alc beer, which will have no effect on you other than needing the toilet slightly more, yeah, we can now offer them a way of unwinding still, but without any of the negative effects from alcohol. So they can still drive home, they can still get up for work, feel sharp the next day, but they still sort of ease out of their sort of busy headspace and settle in. So
it's a really good point. Yeah, exactly. It definitely makes sense, isn't it? You can see those things sort of working together because, let's say, isn't it? If people, it's getting over that aspect of other people are having drinks and you're just on your alcohol free. You're feeling a bit sad.
So you get the relaxation of the alcohol without the hangover.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's very good.
So where do you see things, in the coming 12 months? I mean, what's on the horizon for you and Cannabrew?
It's going to be a mental 12 months to say the least. I keep biting off massive projects, partly because I really enjoy pushing myself. So it's great to sort of see where we can take this thing. But over the next 12 months, so we've just secured our first supermarket listing as of last week. So we need to make sure that we absolutely nail that and do everything we can to ensure success with them. And then next, and I'm going for more. We're going for more supermarket listings. We want to get our products into the hands of as many people as possible and sort of open them up to the benefits of CBD. Then is foreign markets. So I've just last week I was in Italy meeting importers and distributors. So whilst I was there, sort of I knew very little about Italy other than the fact they make incredible food. But the CBD industry there is huge, and like walking along streets, they have vending machines with actual CBD products just in them, just on the street. So that's a really exciting opportunity for us. Then Spain, I met some Spanish ones as well whilst I was in Italy, weirdly enough. So Spain, and then the States, we want to do a big launch into the States. So I'm going over to New York to set all the legislation and whatnot in place for actually operating businesses as like a foreign person in the States, and all the tax. It's a complicated world out there. And then we want to launch into New York and California to sort of take the States.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, and loads of traveling for me, which is just
exciting. Well, I mean, that sounds great. Well, I mean, we will certainly look forward to keeping up with your sort of progress and stuff, and I'm sure we'll be sharing more of your sort of journey. I'm going to keep in touch over the coming months, and I know, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again.
Yeah, we should be. And just to wrap it up, do you want? I mean, you can buy online through your website. Which supermarket are you allowed to say?
Yeah. We officially launched or announced it yesterday across all our channels. So all of our products are now available on Ocado. So they do home, like direct to your home delivery for the majority of the UK, they only just deliver to Lancaster. So loads of my friends and family would be like, they don't women deliver to my house. But that's sure to come. But yeah, if anyone can order from Ocado, reviews would help us massively. And yeah, really exciting time at the moment.
All right.
Superb.
Fantastic.
Right. Well, fantastic. Well, thanks very much, Elliot. Pleasure to talk to you, and really great to see how different products are evolving, and the whole market of CBD.
Yeah.
So,
and anytime you've got some random cans you want to get rid of, you know where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on. It's the biggest thing we're trying to do at the moment is just get people to know about us. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to interview us.
It's a pleasure.
All right.
All right. Till next time. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
See you later.
Okay, we'll just hold for a second.
Don't go.
So I'm just going to stop the recording, and it takes.